Okay. That is very loud. Whew. How's everyone? Oh, okay. I've got this playing somewhere. Hang on. And exit. There we go. Uh, what's up, everybody? Hokies, how we doing? Elite Super Grunt. What's up, Wasp? Glad to see you here. Hope everyone's having a great week. It is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. It's the end of another glorious week as we get closer and closer to Christmas. Hope everyone's having a great time. How are we doing? Yeah, well, almost, Wasp. Almost. Tomorrow is TGIF. So some really crazy shit's going on, isn't it, guys? I mean, we started this week with what's his face? Trump calling Tim Walz a retard, which was hilarious. And now as I open Twitter here, I see that an hour ago, the DHS announced, that's the Department of Homeland Security, announced that they are cutting the work period for a visa down from 5 years to 18 months, which is great because I've always thought it was insane that you could get a visa to work here for 5 years. Ooh, I like that too. Indiana has just proposed a constitutional amendment, which means they'll have to go to the general election. Has just proposed a constitutional amendment to allow judges and prosecutors to get impeached if they let violent criminals run rampant. I'm gonna have to look at that amendment. Let's see. It's House Joint Resolution number 1. Indiana House Joint Resolution number 1. Let's see what that. How's that affect? Oh, is Krista here on a visa? That's hilarious. Aren't they? Hang on, aren't they live? They're all live in what's that place called? I think I'll just tweet that. Uh-oh. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can find this. No. 8 years to get your citizenship, Wasp. Wow. Now, look, I will say I do think once we get everyone out and kind of restart everything, then I think we should sit down and discuss how to fix the the problems, because there are problems. I do think 8 years, that's a long time. Now I don't remember if that requires, and Wasp will know better than I, but I don't remember if that requires 8 years of not being here at all, or if you come in and you say, hey, I want to apply for citizenship and all that. I'm not an immigration attorney. I think immigration law is extremely boring. It's also overly complicated. It should be really quite simple. Are you allowed to be here? No, then get the fuck out. It's pretty easy to me. Yeah, but I want to find this. I'm gonna bookmark this and see if I can find it later. And that And so I'm curious what y'all think about this. I saw, whoa. Rachel Zegler. Perhaps I was too harsh. Oh, damn. Wasp, that's insane. Clear. I imagine you've said that in the chat. Clearly, I don't read the Welcome to Rebellion chat at all. What am I thinking of? Disprove. So I saw Disprove post this, and I'm curious what y'all think about this. Oh, he tweets a lot, doesn't he? I saw him tweet it. Is it? It must be a reply. That's so annoying. Wasp, let me know when, because I want to hear that. Okay, here we go. So Aaron Rupert, no idea who that is, tweeted. Let me share this. Shit, that's loud. Refugee admission into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception of the Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. That's what Levitt said earlier today. Quarterback Garrett says immigration without assimilation is invasion. Freaking hell. And stop giving me updates, you stupid computer. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can. I don't want. There we go. No updates. And then Disbrew said, and I don't agree with this. What's up, MASH? People cannot assimilate. England is probably as close as you could get to the American lineage. If I lived there, I'd never be American, nor be able to naturally behave like an American. I couldn't even raise a child to be American. Living in America, naturally, my household would act like an English one. I know nothing else. You'd need an American in the house to impose American culture on the child. Every foreigner makes America less American without exception. I just don't agree with that. I think it's this, in my opinion, it's the same way as language. As you enter a new area, if you're willing, you naturally become more like the area that you were. We saw the same thing, or we didn't, but historically we see the same thing with the Protestants or the Puritans that fled England and went to Holland. The reason they left Holland was not for religious independence. They had already gotten that when they were in Holland. That's one of the problems with the American education system is they teach us in middle school and high school and elementary school that the Pilgrims left England to find religious freedom. And they left England and went to Holland to get religious freedom, but they left Holland for America, for Plymouth, to maintain their English heritage, because their children were starting to act like the Dutch. So I just don't agree with this. I think that it's the argument of nature versus nurture. That if you're willing to assimilate, you will assimilate. The problem is that a lot of these people are not willing to assimilate. They don't want to stop doing A, B, or C. They don't want to stop eating with their hands. Ever since he won, he now eats with a fork. Yep. That happened. There was another place that just recently happened somewhere where the guy got off for doing it because was it Minnesota? It might have been Minnesota. Or it might have been in Europe. I think it was in Europe. The guy got off because he had not. They said that he had not assimilated and didn't know it was wrong yet, which is bullshit. Murder is murder. But that's just what I got to say about that. It's so. So I think. I think somebody's agent got in touch with them and said, "Hey, we need you to be a little more feminine." Oh, no. I wanted to share this. Hang on, that's the wrong button. Because doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, does it? Yep. Yeah. So the top response: whenever an actress is struggling, her PR team tells her to dress like this. 100%. That's exactly what happens. Walsh says Islam is more than a religion; it's a system of governance that rules, judges, and punishes. It forces it. Absolutely. So that's the was it? I think it's the fifth pillar of Islam is to basically impose your will as much as you possibly can. Yes, it did. It absolutely did. And that's why every single time they've conquered an area, you see them convert they always go after the churches. They always try to turn them into mosques. They did with the Hagia Sophia, the largest church in the world, largest Catholic Christian church in the world. They turned it into a mosque after they conquered Constantinople. Dude, I love these Franklin memes. Oh, that's funny. What? All right. Are there any Brits here? Is Nigel Farage actually likely going to become prime minister in a couple months? I'm seeing polls from over there that are saying Labor is going to lose 408 seats. Yeah, see, that's what I would love. Disparew's not getting into my chat. People getting, let's see. Oh, apparently China. Let's see. Democrats don't want us to become the only generation of Americans that. Benny, sort of. I will kind of. I don't really know a lot about it. I thought he was bombing the RNC and the DNC at the conventions. I didn't think he was the J6 guy. Am I wrong about that? Lauren, I don't know if you're being serious here, but I'm not going to speak to the complete absurdity of the criminal charges that are brought against him, because they are the most laughable pieces of crap I've ever seen in my time as an attorney. But the fact that the state of New York, that their legislature changed the law so that Jean Carroll could bring a suit against Donald Trump, is one of the biggest pieces of bullshit I have ever seen. To change the law so that you can create a backdoor to creating bad press for somebody is laughable. And every single person that voted in favor of that bill, and the governor, who was fucking what's his name at the time, should be thrown in jail. Oh, I know something I wanted to see. All right, so apparently, exactly, absolutely. Omar, is that that's what's her name, isn't it? The Minnesota Dem, Elaine Omar. So, Cuneful. See, this is why I hate my chat, or not my chat, my live streams, because they don't pop up the people's actual username. They pop up the which is bullshit. I want the name. The only thing I will say about this is I find it highly unlikely that it's actually 44 million. Now, I still think she's probably got a lot more money than she not necessarily should, but simply because I think she's probably gone around the system and used the system and the information that she gets to get money. I don't think it's $44 million. In the same way that, they sit there and they say that, what do you call it? There's another one. Oh, I don't remember. But it's kind of like, they say they used to talk about how Dianne Feinstein had a net worth of like $700 million. It's like, how did she get that? Well, her husband ran an investment firm. Of course and then he died before her, leaving everything to her. Of course she had a fuck ton amount of money. Now, obviously, your husband runs an investment firm and you see all the private information before the investors get it, press X to doubt. I'm with you on that. They shouldn't be allowed to trade on the information they have. Shouldn't be allowed to do it. With you. I don't think but for Omar, I don't think it's 44 million. That's just a lot. That would be beating that. She would have to have beaten even Nancy Pelosi's returns, which would be remarkable. But I do agree that I think a lot of her wealth is probably coming from a foreign nation. How about how many senators and representative spouses there are traitors? That's a good question. I would bet that number is probably actually pretty small. Exactly, MTG. She's got money as well. So let's talk about Taylor. Let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm a little annoyed with her. I think it's complete bullshit not to finish out your term. You ran and you were elected to represent your people. I think it's bullshit not to finish your term. That's wrong, and she should finish her term. I also think it's interesting that she is resigning a couple of days after her pension will vest. But I don't have a problem with her saying, I'm done after this. So people should. No one should be in office for 40 or 50 years. But again, I'm weird because I'm against term limits because I don't think we should need term limits. I think we should be an educated enough electorate that when we vote someone in and we go, oh, this person's terrible, we vote them out. But it doesn't happen because everyone can vote. Yes, the voters of the term limit. But unfortunately, the voters are idiots and everything else. Now, apparently, there was a high-ranking member of which cartel is it? The Maduro crime family, let's call them that, that has written a letter to President Trump. Now, he's in jail here in the U.S. His name is Hugo I'm not going to be able to zoom in on this. What if I open the image in another tab? Yep. And then, hang on, let's open this one in another tab. And this one in another tab. Okay. We're going to go through all this. I don't think I'm going to read everything, but I saw this. I'm quite curious about this. Dear Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump, and the people of the United States. My name is Hugo Carvalho Barrios. For many years, I was a high-ranking member of the Venezuelan regime. I was a 3-star general trusted by both Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. You know what's funny about Hugo Chavez? Did anyone ever play Mercenaries? It was a Pandemic Games video game. The first one was called Playground Destruction. They did a second one called World in Flames. Now, the second one took place in Venezuela. In fact, you could carpet bomb. What's the capital over there? What does it? What's the fucking capital? Caracas. It might not be the capital, but it's a city in there. So you could actually now Chavez, while he was still alive, actually tried to get Pandemic to cancel the game because he said that it made him look bad to have a war-torn Venezuela and as the setting of the video game, which I think is fucking hilarious. A world leader said, called up a freaking U.S. video game company and said, hey, your AA game needs to pick a different country to be in. But this guy was the director of military intelligence and a deputy in the National Assembly. See, he says, I publicly broke with the Maduro regime in 2017 and fled my country, knowing that I faced criminal charges in the United States. In doing so, I became their enemy. Knowing the risks, I acted with the strongest conviction to dismantle Maduro's criminal regime and bring freedom to my country. Today, I see the need to address the American people about the reality of what the Venezuelan regime truly is, why President Trump's policies are not only correct, but absolutely necessary to the United States national security. Now, what's so funny is we've been dealing with this war on drugs since 1982, I think, something like that. About halfway through Reagan's first term, I think, was when Just Say No started to be a thing. And for the most part, it's been a pretty big disaster. You got all sorts of terrible shit coming in through both borders, the southern border and the northern border. You've got fentanyl coming in and killing Americans. But what no one has really done is said, you know what? Tackling the problem here at home is really just kind of like trying to put a Band-Aid on it. Let's go fucking nuke those people and get rid of them. And that's what Trump's doing. You know, he and Hesketh are actually destroying their way of getting here. And what I want to see is I want to see us clear out the insanity that is well, I don't know if I want us to do it. I want the Mexican people to actually rise up, which it kind of looked like they were last week. I don't know if those protests are still going on, but they need to get rid of their narco-favored governments in these South American countries and the Central American countries. And Wiley's right. The CIA for years, decades, has peddled drug money and drugs into this country to help pay for their Black Ops missions. And it's insane. I personally witnessed how Hugo Chavez's government became a criminal organization that is now run by Nicolas Maduro. I'm going to assume that's the rest of his name. Oh, no, it's another person, some guy named Cabello, and other senior regime officials. The purpose of this organization, now known as the Cartel of the Suns, is to weaponize drugs against the United States. The drugs that reached your cities through new routes were not accidents of corruption, nor just the work of independent traffickers. They were deliberate policies coordinated by the Venezuelan regime against the United States. And I don't think that's quite true. I think that Venezuela and these other cartels and countries found a way to make money. And they found a partner in the CIA. It is, yes. So WASP. So this is taken from Carrie Lake, who was tweeting about what General Flynn said. But Flynn said, all Americans must grasp the gravity of this moment and what this deposition-like letter below means for the future of our republic. It is that severe of a warning. We cannot allow China or Russia or major international Islamic terrorist networks to own beachfront property off of our southern border. Trump's actions to date have been sound, but given this new information, our POTUS must do some new soul searching with key members of his team. Oh, who is he saying needs to be gone? Hang on, I want to see if he names names. No, I think he's just talking about hang on a second, guys. Fuck. So, y'all remember a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week, I talked about how Letitia James will likely be reindicted. So they moved actually pretty quickly on this. They convened a new grand jury earlier this week, and that grand jury in Norfolk, which is, let me look, Virginia. It's Eastern District. Okay, so who tried this? So they reheard the case, and a new grand jury refused to indict her. It's fucking bullshit. It's clear that she committed mortgage fraud. Yeah, I know. There's a big ass naval base right there. But they, it does sound that, from what I'm reading, it does sound like they're going to try to do it again tomorrow. Who tried this? Hang on a second, guys. I need to figure this out because this doesn't make any sense to me. U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Still says it's Lindsay Halligan. Did the Court of Appeals overturn? No, because she wouldn't have had to be reindicted. Trying to think how to figure this out. I don't think I can. Letitia James, new indictment. Nope. Fox doesn't have it. Let's see. CNN. I'm trying to see if they use Lindsay Halligan again or if they went with someone else. Yeah, let's see. Whole bunch of quiet over here, I know. Hang on. Last month's ruling made Halligan the latest Trump U.S. attorney nominee whose lawful federal judges found that the process of the Trump New Jersey, Nevada, and yep. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to figure out who they used. They must have just used another U.S. attorney in the district to argue the case. Yes, Isaac, I did win. We did have that contest. I was lucky in that I got raided a couple times. But dude, you're killing it over there. I love seeing your shit grow. And even though I don't comment a lot, I'm usually watching. Cool dude right there. Yeah, so the Justice Department has already been kind of telling these news agencies, hey, don't be celebrating this yet because we're going to redo the charges. My guess is that if they used another U.S. attorney instead of using what's her face, let me bring up the actual we'll use NBC News. My guess is that instead of using Hagen, they use another U.S. attorney. And if they decide to redo the charges, I think what they're going to do is, because they've got like another 3 years before they have to decide this. Whoa, hang on. Oh, we might have even bigger news. U.S. Supreme Court. Fuck you, New York Times. NPR. From the Supreme Court of the United States, Greg Abbott versus the League of United Latin American Citizens. Now, this is the case that had the new map that the state of Texas adopted struck down. Now, Justice Alito stayed that order, bringing the map back in. With an eye on the upcoming, how long is this? 20 pages. We're going to read this first page and then scroll down towards the end. With an eye on the upcoming 2026 midterm elections, several states have in recent months redrawn their congressional districts in ways that are predicted to favor the state's dominant political party. Texas adopted the first new map, then California responded with its own map for the stated purpose of counteracting what Texas had done. North Carolina followed suit, and other states are also considering new maps. Respondents in this case challenged the new Texas map, contending that the legislature's motive was predominantly racial. A divided 3-judge district court agreed and enjoined the use of the new map in the 2026 elections. With the 2026 campaign underway, the state of Texas and several of its officials applied to this court for a stay. Based on a preliminary evaluation of this case, Texas satisfies the traditional criteria for interim relief. Texas is likely to succeed on the merits of his claim that the district court committed at least 2 serious errors. First, the district court failed to honor the presumption of legislative good faith by constructing ambiguous, direct, and circumstantial evidence against the legislature. Second, the district court failed to draw a dispositive or near dispositive adverse interference against respondents, even though they did not produce a viable alternative map that met the state's avowedly partisan goals. Justice Alito, with whom Justice Thomas and Gorsuch joined, concurring in the grant of application for stay. I joined the order issued by the court. So who's I? Who wrote? Hang on. So Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson dissented. Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch approved. That leaves 3. Kagan dissenting. Kagan. Okay. I mean, that's only 6 members, guys. Can we do math correctly? I am gonna read this because there's just a little bit of it left. I joined the order issued by the court. Texas needs certainty on which map will govern the 2026 midterm elections, so I will not delay the court's order by writing a detailed response to each of the descendants' arguments. Instead, I offer 2 short points, which for me are decisive. First, the dissent does not dispute because hang on. So this is Alito writing. But that's 3-3. Am I missing something? 25A608. Oh, hang on. Okay, I think I know what's going on. I joined the order issued by the court. Instead, I offer 2 short points, which for me are decisive. First, the dissent does not dispute, because it is indisputable, that the impetus for the adoption of the Texas map, like the map subsequently adopted in California, was partisan advantage, pure and simple. Second, the clear error standard review does not apply here because the trial court based its findings upon a mistaken impression of applicable legal principles. Alexander v. South Carolina State Conference of the NAACP. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Impetus. Because of the correlation between race and partisan preference, litigants can easily use claims of racial gerrymandering for partisan ends. To prevent this, our precedents place the burden on the challengers to disentangle race and politics. Thus, when the asserted reason for a map is political, it is critical for challengers to produce an alternative map that serves the state's allegedly partisan aim just as well as the map the state adopted. So what they're saying here is what Alito is writing is saying that our precedent, the precedent the Supreme Court has stated over the last 70 years of this shit, is if you want to prove that the state is creating a new map to make sure black people can't vote or make sure black people can't elect the people that they want to represent, then you need to give us a map that shows that the political goal of the map can still be met while allowing black people to vote for people that they want to represent themselves. Although response experts could have easily produced such a map if that were possible, they did not, giving rise to a strong inference the state's map was indeed based on partisanship, not race. Neither the duration of the district court's hearing nor the length of its majority opinion provides an excuse for failing to apply the correct legal standards as set out clearly in our case law. Oh, that's awesome. You know what? Where is... This is the stay submitted to... I need to find the actual case. I need to find the district court's decision. What is this? It's Abbott v. Well, actually, this is an appeal. So it's actually League of United Latin American Countries Citizens. Okay. So holy fuck. The entire opinion is 160 pages. Do you want to know how you tell higher courts that you don't know what you're talking about? You take 160 pages to come up with your answer, which is why this sentence in this opinion exists. Neither the duration of the court's hearing nor the length of the majority opinion. Let's see how long the majority opinion is. There should be there's not. I need to get a new mouse. This one's not quiet at all. Yeah, no, the majority opinion is a full 160 pages. That is insane. So Hokies, that's the thing. They have not disallowed the California map. They're both going to be allowed. They're both clearly partisan. Partisan is okay. If you want to gerrymander for partisan reasons, it's okay. It's perfectly legal. I wouldn't necessarily say it's okay or morally right, but it's perfectly legal. Let's see what Kagan had to say. What's up, Lily? Let's see. I'm looking. So here's the thing. Kagan is writing this. Kagan is actually a pretty decent jurist. She's very good at speaking. She's very good at writing. I remember in law school, I had to read several of her opinions, both while she was a justice, and when she was a federal judge. They're fairly good. What I'm upset about is that this is not Jackson writing, because that would be hilarious. And I wish she had actually filed a concurring dissent. But I'll bet you what happened, because we saw Sotomayor. Remember this year in June, we saw Sotomayor rebuke Justice Jackson, basically calling her an idiot. So I'll bet you that one of them told Jackson not to write another opinion. This is still a 3-3 decision. Shouldn't it be No, so here's the thing. If I remember correctly, okay, I could be wrong about this, but when someone appeals to the Supreme Court, it's assigned to one of the 9 justices, depending on what district or what circuit it's coming from. I'm pretty sure Alito is the justice that's assigned to Texas's circuit. And he said, he because he has the power to stay any decision by the district court in his circuit. And then it gets brought up to a vote in the Supreme Court in their little hearings. And those, I believe, are 6 justices each. And then all you need is 3 justices to vote yay, we'll hear it. I think that's where we're at on this. I could be wrong. I'm gonna spend some time later tonight looking that up to make sure I'm right about that. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is. God, I feel like I need to go back to fucking school. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that really kind of, I don't really give a shit about the Letitia James stuff anymore. That's hilarious. But yes, I wouldn't be that worried about Letitia James. I think they'll redo the case and they'll get her indicted. Like I said, my guess is they used another U.S. attorney, and that U.S. attorney probably just didn't do as good a job as Hagen did, or whatever her name. Why is Amon Ross St. Brown trending? Okay, Amon Ra is playing tonight. Sorry guys, I have decided whether or not to start what's their fucking names? Jordan Love tonight against Chicago. Rivalry game. He'll either suck or he'll kick ass. There's not going to be any middle. Or Jared Goff on Sunday. Or actually, no, I think Jared Goff's tonight and Jordan Love's tomorrow. Oh, fuck. I'll have to think about that. So Matt Van Amps won in Tennessee. What do we think about that? If there's another dim, there has to be another one. But we all know 48 is going to be JD. 48 and 49 JD, and then 50 is going to be Marco Rubio. Someone asked me. Yeah, so that Lily, that's the crazy thing about Tennessee is it really is a very red state, unless you look at fucking Nashville and Memphis. Those two, and what blows my mind is that you can have someone sit there and say, "I hate this city," and then that city votes 75% for her. That blows my mind. What was that? Man, this fraud shit in Minnesota is insane. I don't understand how Tim Walz cannot be just absolutely pissed off. A question above. This one? Yeah, Stephen Brown, that's right. He'll just be 48. AG. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Hang on. Let me. The AG elect in Virginia is trying to get an extension on a time to appeal. It was a ruling on universal background checks. He wants to extend that to January, so he will be in office. He has no standing. Virginia AG elect background checks. He has no standing to appeal anything. He's not currently the Attorney General of the state. With the clock ticking, Attorney General-elect Jay Jones filed a motion this week asking the Virginia Court of Appeals to extend the Commonwealth's deadline to appeal a recent ruling that struck down the state's background check law for private firearms. You know what? Actually, you know what, Hokies? Do it. Do it. Fourth Circuit, please extend. Because not only do I want this shit out of Virginia, but I want it out of the fucking circuit. Let's get it out of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Am I right about that? Fourth Circuit is Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, North and South Carolina. So yes, you know what? Please, Fourth Circuit, please give him an extension, because when that gets overturned, it will. Now we have constitutional carry here in South Carolina, so I don't have to worry about any sort of bullshit like that. But doing that will remove it from Virginia. It'll remove it from North Carolina, is my guess, and it will make it shaky in every other state. See, this is what these people. They're idiots. They are narcissistic idiots, because they're doing this. He's doing the same thing Gavin Newsom did. Gavin Newsom had the opportunity to take a win, but he turned it into a loss for every single Democratic governor. He sat there and said, you know what? I need to make my mark on the stage. I need to get a win. Let's sue Donald Trump on this thing that's actually helping my city. The National Guard deployments to LA in June. So he sues, wins, immediately loses, appeals, wins, and then immediately loses again. So that final judgment they have, that he has not appealed to the Supreme Court because he doesn't want the Supreme Court to side with Trump and make it a nationwide thing. He wants it confined to his circuit. The problem is the decisions by that full Court of Appeals for the Ninth District or Ninth Circuit also has helped Donald Trump do it in Oregon and Portland. The only reason that they actually aren't there in Oregon and Chicago. The only reason that they aren't actually there yet is because they haven't gotten it to the full circuit. But everything that these Democrats do is about them trying to become the new face of their party. And they end up setting statewide, circuit-wide, and countrywide precedent doing it. I don't understand these people. It makes no sense to me. But yeah, I'm all for that, please. But yeah, no, I don't think he has standing. Now he is the Attorney General elect, so it's definitely an interesting position to be in, because the people have obviously voted for you to be the Attorney General, but you're not the Attorney General yet. So does an elected official who has not been sworn in yet have standing to request something from the circuit court? That's interesting. You know what? I'm looking forward to this decision. When did he ask for this? He asked for this today or yesterday. Yesterday, yeah. Do we have an answer? This is, what's the name of the case? Hang on, let me see if I can find the name of the case, because I would be really interested to see how the court decides this. Wilson v. Hanley is the name of the case. It's also the name of a case in the Supreme Court of Oregon in 1960. Virginia. I don't think so. All the court record stuff I see is just from the final decision that the court made. I don't see that they've made a decision on Jones's request, which is too bad, because like I said, that's a very interesting question that I think they're gonna have a tough time answering that. But so that's the thing is, like, they've elected him. I think he's got standing. Now the question is, now you've got standing. Yes, you have to have three things in order to be a party to a case. You have to have justiciability, which means it has to be something the court has a right to make a ruling on. You have to have jurisdiction, which means the court has to have jurisdiction over the case, and the person bringing the case has to have standing. All three could be present in this situation. Obviously, they've got jurisdiction over the case. They're at the court hearing the case. It's a just justiciable question, and he might have standing. But I imagine what they'll do is they'll say, no, you missed. You did not get it in by the deadline, so we're done. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm gonna be watching that. So we had a peace deal signed today. What do y'all think about that? By a stroke of the pen, President Trump formally ends the 30-year-long Rwanda-Congo war and signs massive critical minerals deal. Trump not only stopped the war, but is vying to get America into benefiting from critical minerals in the region. Which would be and that's the thing that really kind of blows my mind about Africa, is how do they not? They're sitting on so much rich deposits. They should be the second or third richest area in the world right now. Why is the Supreme Court trending? I think it's trending for the Texas thing. Okay, so they're saying, Nick Sorter is saying that it was a 6-3 decision. I swear it didn't sound like it was all 6 or all 9 justices. Am I going crazy, guys? I mean, I'm definitely going crazy, but let's see. Yes. So no, yes and no. They have stayed the lower court's ruling, saying we believe that Texas will win when we hear the case. So it's sort of basically saying it's not a stay pending a pending appeal, because that's what Alito did 3 weeks ago. Alito stayed pending appeal 3 weeks ago. This is a decision approving, finalizing the stay until they finish the case, and then there will be a final judgment on the merits. These 6 justices are pretty much saying, though, that they believe Texas will win at the end of the day. But you're right. You're right, Sean. I mean, this has upheld. That is not the correct word. Wow. All these tweets look very similar, don't they? What's Bondi say? Federal courts have no right to interfere with a state's decision to reach all legislative maps for partisan reasons. A federal district court ignored that principle 2 weeks ago, and the Supreme Court correctly stayed that overreaching decision tonight. Congratulations for Texas for advancing the rule of law. My Solicitor General John Sauer and our team of lawyers for their excellent briefs supporting Texas in this important case. It's interesting, though, like all of this. So this is what they need to do. We need a new census. And honestly, so next year, Trump's big push is affordability. This is what I think Trump wants. I think Trump wants to win by making our lives easier. He wants to win the right way. And then the year after, I think he's going to go to war. I think we get a new census in 2027. I think they're going to have enough proof that everything was pretty much bullshit in 2020. And we get a new census in 27, redistricting at the end of 27, early 28, and then a whole new House immediately following in 28. So, Hoagies, I don't think it's going to be a bloodbath, okay? Let's say everything stays the way it is right this second. I think that you see either the exact same House where Republicans have a 2 or 3 seat majority, or you see a Democrat House, or actually, I think you see, I think what we're most likely to see is a coalition House where you have, I need to pull up a map. This will work. Okay, so this is 2018. This is the 2018 map. What I think you end up seeing is something where the dark blue is, you need 218, is like 215. The dark red is 215. And then somewhere in the middle, you end up with like a group of purples. That's what I think you're most likely to see if everything were to stay exactly the way it is today. But we already know that's not going to happen. We already know that the Fed is going to be lowering interest rates either later this month or early in January, targeting a 3% interest rate by the end of quarter one. I'm telling y'all right now, look, I see interest rates on home loans all the time. If they get to 3%, the refinancing is going to be insane. You're going to see people who have been struggling with 6-7% mortgages refinancing and freeing up $300 to $400 to $500 a month. And suddenly you just see a whole bunch of green everywhere. If that happens, and that's the first thing that needs to happen, you need to get the interest rate under control so that people can then free up the money that they can then go either save, which if they're smart, they'll do. They'll pay off credit card debt. They'll pay off debt that they have. They'll go spend it at stores and stuff, propping up the economy. Then, I'm not a huge fan of it, but then the $2,000 Doge shit hits the accounts. The Trump accounts start hitting for kids. All of this stuff. Hokies, I missed that. I'll get back to that in a second. So Hokies, that's it. We need to stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Look, I am all for wanting to, have the new graphics card in my computer, or I have 3 monitors here, okay? I don't need 3 monitors. This was fucking stupid. This was dumb as hell. But I did it, and I paid the price for it. There's debt I have that I shouldn't have, that I took on because I was a freaking idiot. It couldn't wait 2 weeks for my paycheck. But the issue is that I'm smart enough and I'm intelligent enough and I'm lucky enough that the debt that I took on that was stupid debt isn't $30,000 and $40,000 worth of credit card debt. Look, I see people come in to buy houses that have like $15,000 of credit card debt that they have to tack that onto their home loan so that their lender will pay off that credit card debt. And the problem is that suddenly they're going to end up being like, oh, hey, I actually don't have any money on that credit card anymore. I can go use it again. And that's how you get fucked up with your mortgage. Okay? Because when you go to get a home loan, they don't want your debt to income to be above, I think it's 50%. And that means that 50% of your monthly income goes to debt. They don't want it to be above that, because the idea is that if you have as low as of a debt to income, and debt is the things you are required to pay for, not I have a Netflix subscription or I have this, not things that you can cancel and not pay. So Sean, I agree with that. Hokies, I think the Trump accounts, I think they could be good. Now, I do think that we risk over inundating the market with money in about 40 to 50 years. But hopefully by then we fixed everything. And you're also right that money going to debt would be even better. If we could pay down the debt quicker, that'd be great. Again, what's his face? Dave Ramsey isn't right about everything anymore. You know, his stuff used to be bang on perfect, but it doesn't work today. Or it doesn't work as well today. But one thing that he's absolutely right about is the snowball. You pay the highest interest rates, then you pay the smallest debt, and you just go build boom, 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 boom. I don't know. I'm not a finance guy. All I know is, you know, I've got X amount of debt and I want to get rid of it before I'm 40. Sean, I don't even know what that means, man. But yes, I think if we get affordability, I don't even think we have to get it, you know, perfect. I think you just have to basically be able to get to the point where we can kind of start relaxing, getting a looser belt and shit like that by October, and we'll be fine. You know, if get the interest rate in control, that's the first step, and that's supposed to be close to being done by end of Q1. Which means people are going to start buying houses, which means other people are going to start buying houses, which means rent will go down because they're going to need to. Yes, Sean. Yes, thank you. I 100% agree. Is that what created the credit score? Keynesian economics? Pulling a little bit of a J there. Because that's some bullshit. Where are we going? I think I'm done, guys. Is there anything else? Oh, I wanted to something Hokie said. Yeah. In Trump's first term, he got the Abraham Accords done. And they spent the entire time talking about how it's one of the things that increased COVID across the planet. Fuck off, dumbass Democrats. Okay, yeah. Credit scores are bullshit. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about because this really makes me angry. Gavin Newsom tweeted out today, in January, real Donald Trump looked me in the eye on the tarmac, promising Angelenos that he'd help rebuild after the firestorms. 11 months later, he still hasn't delivered. That's why I'm headed to D.C. to push for a long overdue federal aid package for survivors. You know what, dumb bitch? They haven't been able to rebuild because your state government has added like another 80 pounds of red tape so that they can't rebuild, so that you can then take their land. I didn't know Trump was the fucking governor of California. And what I love is Lee Zeldin, the secretary of the EPA, replied to this. The EPA completed its historic Phase 1 hazardous material removal in record time, under 30 days. The Army Corps of Engineers then fully completed its Phase 2 debris removal. The federal government under President Trump completed all the necessary steps to allow California's families and businesses to rebuild. The holdup is entirely, totally, completely waiting on California's local state politicians to allow residents to rebuild. Governor Newsom should be thanking President Trump for all of the administration's help this year, instead of his grandstanding trying to pin local state incompetence on the federal government, especially after everything the president has done all year long. Not to mention all of the president's work to get water flowing more and pushing for better forest management by the state. Again, remember, we saw a memo come out of the LA or California Fire Department 3 weeks ago that talked about how they had to start being careful of certain wildlife species and native heritage sites and certain trees, so as not to remove the historical nature of the environment for the indigenous people. You know what? You know who I really give a shit about? Not the 2,000 Native Americans that live on a ranch or a reservation somewhere in California, but how about the city of 30 million, sorry, not 30, of 7 million people who 200,000 of them have been losing their homes every single year because you can't put out a fucking forest fire. Sorry. Welcome to my TED Talk. Yep. So again, remember, the LA City Council voted like 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago, to allow eminent domain on that land that was burned to build giant Section 8 apartments on. I thought y'all wanted John to come back and build his home, but you're going to make him build his home next to some shitty Section 8 apartment? Fucking bullshit. No one show this to my boss. Well, so this is the thing, Sean. No one has ever won an eminent domain case. There is not a single person that has ever defeated the government in eminent domain. In true eminent domain, let me say. There are people that win extra compensation, and there are people that are able to like delay eminent domain, but no one has ever actually proved that the government did not have a right to claim the land. Looks like the Senate is getting ready to approve a couple of district judges that Trump has appointed. So in the Palisades, I think the majority of the value is in location. So it's not necessarily the house itself. So like, let's say the lot might be worth $3 million, and then adding a house might make it worth 3.7 million. I think they would pay the value of the lot. But again, it's still $3 million. Like, I'm not going to feel that bad about it if they get screwed out of, $500,000, because they're already going to get an assload of money. But I still say they should. Oh, sorry. Something just really freaked me out for a second. But I still think this entire land grab is bullshit. Hang on. Man. I was looking to see if I can find any last little thing to chat about. Oh, what's that? It's just John Thune talking. Let's see. No, I think that's going to be it, guys. Department of State. Oh yeah, did you see they named the what's it called? The Institute of Peace. They named it after Donald Trump today. Apparently, Virginia is looking into redistricting for Democrats, which I don't really understand how you can, because there's only two places in Virginia that are blue. All right, yep, that's it, guys. If you're in Minnesota, make sure you drive by the governor mentioned and call Tim Walz a retard. Apparently, he's really enjoying that. I think it'd be great. I'd love to go up there and call him a retard. There's some other things I call him too, but we can't say those over here on YouTube. Everyone, thank y'all so much for being here. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Leave comments. I love to see them. I love to see what everyone has to say. We've had 3 new videos out this week. If you haven't watched them yet, go give them a watch. Let me know what you have to say about them. And yeah. See y'all next time.